everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Data Unscripted, the podcast where we pull back the curtain on modern data practices and explore how the world of data is evolving in real time. I'm Ori, and with me is Dadi. Hey, Dadi.
Hey, Ori. Great to be here. Record another episode. Let's get going.
So in today's episode, Dadi, we're going to talk about something that's been quietly reshaping how we think about data architecture, a concept that internally we're calling the platinum layer. Now, people who worked in and around modern data platforms, chances are they've heard of the Medallion architecture, which was popularized by Databricks and adopted across many data stacks and data teams. So before we get started, let's talk a little bit about it. Can you give our audience a quick overview of the Medallion architecture?
Yeah, you got it. Okay. So the Medallion architecture is a tiered architecture that organizes data into three logical layers. We start with the bronze layer, right? So this is your raw, unfiltered data after the data was ingested from various sources like Salesforce, your database application, whatnot. Think of it as the landing zone for everything from event streams to your operational data dumps, all in its rawest format. Then we move on to the silver layer, right? So this is where the transformation begins. The data is clean, joined, enriched, and it's where those duplicate IDs are removed, the date casting is properly done, those inconsistencies, and business logic starts to be applied. And then we move on to the gold layer. Here, the data is refined, it's aggregated for business consumption. So this is the layer where you get the KPIs, the dashboard-ready tables, executive reports, and so on and so forth. These tables are often curated by analytics engineers and are considered relatively stable and well-governed assets. So it's a robust model, right? So it brings order, traceability, and governance to the entire data architecture.
Great overview. Thanks, Dadi. Now, in talking with our customers, we noticed that while the Medallion architecture is great, it also limits them in certain aspects. When and where does this happen in real life?
Okay, so as the gold layer matures into the trusted source of truth in the organization, it also becomes inevitably more rigid.
Why is that?
Okay, so it happens because when data models are expected to support dashboards that the CEO, for example, uses, or the finance depends on for quarter end closes, change becomes delicate, right? So it's like production. Everything has to go through version control, QA cycles, review processes. It just becomes slow. And that's okay, right? You're building a stable product.
That makes complete sense. Where does this then limit the organization?
Well, analysts don't always need perfection. Oftentimes, they just need speed, flexibility, the freedom to ask, what if, and get that table and that answer fast. What we're seeing today is this gap between the officially maintained data products and those ad hoc tables that analysts need to answer those everyday questions. And creating those tables through the same engineering lifecycle used for the gold layer, it just creates additional friction, delays, bottlenecks, and ultimately a lot of frustration.
Got it. Can you give our listeners some concrete examples of scenarios where analysts need speed and agility and less process and governance to make it more tangible?
Sure. Let's take some common scenarios that our customers have shared with us. So one example is you need to create a table that supports a temporary product experiment or an A/B test. This is temporal, it just lives for 1 month and you throw it away. You want to explore a new pricing model, so you play around with those various, tiered offerings and stuff. Understanding the performance of a new marketing campaign. Prototyping, you want to prototype a dashboard for a new marketing or sales ops or QBR and whatnot. And unlike the gold layer, these don't need to live forever. Often single purpose, sometimes messy, but incredibly valued when they're used right. And by the way, believe it or not, this already exists in every data team. Yep, I'm talking about you, the one who's listening to us. Because analysts work around those rigid limitations of the current architecture by building custom queries in their BI tool and those views on top of other views in the data warehouse, etc., etc. Yeah, so this results in completely ungoverned, messy data, duplicate metrics and calculations, and much more. So by adopting the platinum layer that we just talked about, you're solving existing problems, even if you're not aware of them yet. Isn't that great?
These are all common scenarios. We've heard about them from customers all the time. And this is exactly where the concept of the platinum layer evolved and comes in. How does it actually work, though?
So the platinum layer actually sits on top of your Medallion stack, not as a replacement, but it's an analytics-centric workspace. This is where analysts can build dynamic, oftentimes temporal, business-specific tables without having to wait for engineering team to approve those pull requests or factor their existing DAGs, and so on and so forth. So think of it like this. Golden layer and all the layers below it is the stable, governed, engineering-centric, and slow-moving. And on top of that, you get the platinum layer, which is agile, disposable, and deeply tied to your business context.
You know, it's more than just architecture. The rise of this platinum layer concept is about the changing role of the analyst, right? Because with the help of better tooling, data catalogs, lineage, AI co-pilots, AI agents, analysts today can safely work closer to the raw data than ever before. They can model, transform, test data without needing to be engineers.
You're spot on, Ori. Yeah, exactly. And with that capability comes a new need, a layer in the stack that recognizes their workflow and their existing needs and use cases. A place that is fast, flexible, and sits on top of all the governance, reliability, and trust built into the Medallion, namely bronze, silver, gold layer flow.
Right. Well, I'm sure there are a lot of challenges and issues that come up with this. We'll talk about it some other time. But right now, what does all of this mean for data teams?
All right. So first off, you need to stop treating your ad hoc work as a second-class citizen. You can design your architecture with analysts in mind, giving them the freedom to iterate while maintaining trust in your official metrics. So you can think of it as the Medallion architecture got us the stability, and the platinum layer is going to give us the agility. You like that?
That's nice. It even rhymes. So, you know, I think it's a good place to stop. We'll have another session later. Thanks for listening to Data Unscripted. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with your team, and also let us know what other topics you want us to tackle next. So until then, stay curious, stay agile, keep your data unscripted. Bye, everyone.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.